Shalom, Yasharala. I'm going to start out by giving infinite honors to Yahweh YAIQAB Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. A salutation and greeting to you, sincere Akim, pushing this truth across the four winds. I'm going to do this sit down, Every sit down we do is fishing for the precious elect and all about it, enlighten the hopeful elect of Yasharala, the apple of the Most High's eye. And they got a lot of brothers, still out there in that world smoking that cannabis sativa. And, a large portion of the brothers that are in the know that crossed over into Yahweh's marvelous light, a lot of us, one vice we always did was smoke the marijuana, But it's a topic that arises a lot of times. Jake let their flesh get the best of them, and their cognitive functions is controlled by demons, man. Because that's all, when you're smoking that marijuana, man, that's all it does. Is it opens you up to demons, and it clouds your cognitive functioning, man. You rocking according to the flesh, like Esau, man. But it's sad we got to touch that topic. I mean, it should be a simple issue, but in Babylon is all about confusion, and common sense isn't so common. So we're going to go into this. I got this clip from an Edomite, but it's an edifying clip about what marijuana does to your anatomy, your biology, and I'm going to funnel it through the scriptures. All right, let's get it.
Adults who use marijuana and what impact the drug has on their mental health and intelligence, experts have been unable to make many definitive statements. Health authorities can only really say marijuana might do harmful things to the brain, but that more research is needed. That may be why Americans, according to a recent poll, rank sugar as more harmful than marijuana. Are they wrong? Maybe so. A new report titled Long-Term Effects of Marijuana Use on the Brain is offering fresh evidence that a chronic user's brain undergoes significant structural changes for those who've used marijuana regularly over 6 to 8 years. What kinds of changes? Using MRI scans, researchers compared the brains of 48 frequent marijuana users who took the drug on average 11 times per week to those of 62 non-users. The yellow area on this MRI scan shows the average amount that the gray matter density was diminished in the bilateral orbitofrontal cortex of the marijuana users. This is the part of the brain that's involved in decision-making. At the same time, the MRI shows the marijuana users have greater activity than the control group in another section of the brain, called the forceps minor. This is the white matter that connects the brain's frontal lobes. That means, according to the researchers, the pot smokers have more connections to facilitate communication between these lobes, and the more efficient communication makes it more responsive to the environment. Why would marijuana users have higher connectivity? And isn't that a good thing? Not necessarily. The report suggests this part of the brain may be compensating for gray matter losses. However, the study finds that over years of regular use, those increased connections wither away, meaning the brain may be losing its ability to compensate for lost gray matter. Then what happens? A leading marijuana scientist not involved in this particular study says these long-time users could be at increased risk to be driven by immediate rewards and not looking for more long-term gratification, and may be more vulnerable to mood and anxiety problems. The authors of the study admit they found no correlation between...
When they say you might be more successive to mood and anxiety problems, those are vexation of spirits. Those are demons vexing you, man. When you have anxiety attacks and you just feel like you've been vexed and you're heavy laden, those are demons. Those are demons. The spirit realm vexing you, man. When you're vexed and your spirit is fucked up, it transfer into this physical plane, and you start doing off shit. because you're not walking in the spirit. So you just become a carnal devil in the flesh doing off shit. All right?
Individual's IQ and reduced gray matter in the orbitofrontal cortex. They don't know whether heavy pot users had less gray matter to begin with, making them more prone to using the drug. And if so, whether marijuana made those structural deficiencies worse. Yet again, the public is told more studies are needed. So at this point, setting aside the emerging consensus among researchers that pot is harmful to the developing brains of adolescents, in places where it's legal, do leading scientists think there should be a warning label on marijuana? Some do. Here's what Krista Lisdahl of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee would have it say. High THC marijuana can cause subtle cognitive deficits, brain structure abnormalities, mood and sleep problems. Daily use is not recommended. Not recommended, at least until the science becomes more...
And that should be common sense, man. I mean, when you walking according to the spirit, Yahweh Shemi was shot through his word, tell us that he made everything and it was good. He made the herbs of the field and they were good, all right? But everything he made that was good can be used abnormal, you know? And you got these idiots, these dildo heads come up to camp and they'll be like, show me in the scripture where it says exactly not to smoke weed, all right? I mean, it doesn't have a passage that say don't smoke weed, don't smoke cannabis or whatnot. But if you're dealing with knowledge and wisdom and you have understanding, I mean, it's not hard to connect the dots, man. All right? It's not hard to connect the dots. You know a motherfucking eagle is not made to swim in the depths of the sea. And you know a motherfucking shark is not created to soar through the heavens, fly in the heavens. All right? You don't have to see that written. I mean, you have common sense, man, you know? But when your brain and your brain cells have been burnt and you're scorching your brain cells, your cognitive function is limited, and you're defiled with demons. And when you're defiled with demons, you commit all kind of abominable acts, man. Now I'm gonna read this excerpt from medicaldaily.com, and not right now, baby. Medicaldaily.com, Salaki Yasharala. And see what it says about marijuana, okay? And it said you have to go through this. It's sad you have to go through this, man. But common sense isn't common in a nation ran by children. The so-called white man is a child. He's the basis of men, you know? And we are being ruled over for our transgressions in ancient time past and in this life by this devil, all right? I mean, this devil don't know that the anal cavity is a exit and not a entrance, okay? So the inhabitants of the land rocks out to his vibration. And we have to bring out excerpts and funnel everything to the scriptures to sober our people up, all right? Marijuana's long-term effects on health have been the subject of an ongoing debate. While many people believe smoking pot is harmless, studies have shown that using marijuana recreationally can lead to poor verbal memory at middle age. The scripture tells us to be sober and vigilant, all right? When you're a man of the Lord, you have to be sharp. You have to be aware of what's going on around you in this wicked-ass, defiled-ass society. An increased risk of experiencing symptoms of psychosis. That's being plagued with demons. All right? Esau puts his medical term on things, and Esau knows exactly what it is. The elites know exactly what it is. But when it says symptoms of psychosis, that means hearing shit, seeing shit, just demons plaguing you. and being diagnosed with a severe mental illness. Severe mental illness is demon possession, man. Researchers at Karolinska Institute in Sweden are adding more fuel to the controversy with findings published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, which suggests heavy pot use at young age can increase the risk of early death. The study is the longest follow-up date on marijuana use. Okay. A fresh World Health Organization report has shown that cannabis has extensive effects on health. Even the mental effects are the most salient. Leader author Edison Macri Garcia said in a statement. For the study, Swedish researchers combed through data of more than 50,000 Swedish male teens who were enlisted in the military at 18 or 19 and followed in a national cause of death register until around the age of 60. Researchers used the Cox model, a tool used in survival analysts, to assess the relation between early cannabis use and death risk and whether that risk increased even more for early cannabis users who were later diagnosed with psychiatric disorders. 4,000 of the men involved in the study had died during the follow-up period. The data showed that men who had been using marijuana heavily in their late teens were 40% more likely to die by the time they reached 60. And we know, according to the scriptures, even while we're in these chains of darkness, in our lower state, the Most High still gave us 70 to 80 years, all right? Compared to those who hadn't used the drug. Researchers said this correlation remained even after they controlled for confounding factors such as alcohol use, mental illness, and social problems. For men who suffer from psychosis, demon possession, when you deal with the scriptures, the mortality rate was 4 times higher. However, study leader Peter Alibag said the correlation was independent of early cannabis use. In other words, the death rates did not differ between those with a history of cannabis use or those without one. Since this is a longer follow-up study on cannabis use, some experts believe the researchers were able to track participants until they reached an age where the effects of early and heavy pot use caught up with them, taking a toll on their health. Cannabis users have poor health in general. Man, that's common. The human lung is not made for smoke inhalation, all right? I mean, that's common sense. You expect there to be a increased mortality risk. Addiction, excerpt Scott Krakauer, Assistant Unit Chief of Psychiatry at Zucker Hillside Hospital, told CBS News marijuana users generally may have poor diets and they might be tobacco smokers. There's an increased linkage between weed and tobacco. Krakauer was not involved in the study. Researchers said that they weren't able to tell whether early cannabis use could be entirely to blame for the shorter life expectancy because information was not available about whether the information continued use marijuana late in life. Yet they believe their findings suggest that early marijuana use can increase death risk. Okay? Our conclusion is that early cannabis use can contribute to premature death, particularly through injuries and suicide. That is unrelated to the increased risk of psychosis, said Marie Garcia. And the reason people that smoke marijuana 30, 40 years, 20 years, man, that psychosis, they have been opened up to demons, man, all right? Even if they don't graduate and go to a more vile drug like heroin and crack or cocaine, that they have opened themselves up to demon possession, and